If you're like me, not a morning person, and you'd rather have a few extra minutes in bed than get up and make a good breakfast, then I'm here to tell you that you can do both. So in this video, I've got 3 really simple breakfast recipes that you can pre-prepare, or they literally only take a few minutes in the morning, and they will keep you going all morning. Hi, my name is Sorcha. I'm a nutritionist and healthy lifestyle blogger from Ireland, and on this channel I help make healthy living simple because it doesn't have to be complicated. Today's video is all about the breakfast. If you'd like some personalised help with your diet, then I've got a free 45-minute introductory nutrition consultation. The link is in the description box below. You can get it on my website, sorchashealthyliving.com, or you can get it through my Facebook page. Before I go into the recipes, I'm going to talk about what makes a good breakfast. So first of all, if you are hungry less than an hour after eating your breakfast, you're either not eating enough or your breakfast just isn't nutritious enough for you. It's not keeping you going. A good breakfast should keep you going to lunchtime. You might have to have like a small snack in between, depending on how far your lunch is from your breakfast, but it should keep you going at least 2 hours. Another thing you need to remember is you don't have to eat breakfast straight away. Some people just don't feel hungry when they first get up, and that's fine. Eating breakfast straight away might be how some people wake up. Some people can't function before their breakfast. Others maybe just aren't hungry. So what you can do in that situation, if you know that you're not going to get a chance to eat for a long time, is eat something very light. So something like fruit or a smoothie, and then bring something with you for later that's more substantial. So you'd have like a small snack like breakfast, and then you'd have another snack in between. That might work for you. Don't force yourself to eat breakfast, because maybe if you're not hungry, then why would you force yourself to eat just because it's breakfast? And another thing is, lemon water is not breakfast. Like, maybe if you want to put lemon in your water because it tastes nice, then that's fine, but it really doesn't do anything. So lemon water, yeah. And things like coffee and tea, also just having a cup of coffee or just having a cup of tea in the morning is not a breakfast. It's a drink. You need to have food. Food is breakfast. You don't need to eat it straight away, but it needs to be food. The first tip I give was make sure your breakfast lasts, so it keeps you full for at least 2 hours. A good way to do that is to make sure it has things like fibre, protein, and healthy fats in it. You'd get fibre from things like porridge, whole grain toast, whole grain bagels. Most cereals are quite high in fibre. You just need to be careful with the sugar content in them. A lot of them also have a lot of sugar. And then obviously you'd get your protein from if you're having any kind of dairy, or eggs are a great source of protein, like any kind of meat product. So bacon, sausages. I know not they're high in saturated fat as well, but there is loads of protein foods out there that would be breakfast, kind of you'd have for breakfast, yogurt, things like that. And then healthy fats, so this avocado on toast, you get your healthy fats in avocado. But also, if you use things like olive oil, that will give you your healthy fats as well. Try to get at least 1 or maybe even 2 portions of your fruit or vegetables in at breakfast or more. You you don't want to, you want to try and steer more towards the vegetables, so you don't want to get too much fruit. And I'm saying this because fruit is healthy, but it does contain natural sugars. So as you eat a lot of fruit in one go, it's giving your body a lot of sugar in one go. You want to try and spread the fruit out during the day. And the vegetables, they're more starchy. Talking about starting off the day, breakfast cereals, they're not all bad. Like, most of them are pretty good. They do have things like vitamin D. They're fortified with vitamin D, which is quite hard to get through your diet. They're also normally fortified with things like iron. They're pretty good source of fiber. The one thing about breakfast cereals is they are quite highly processed and they do contain a lot of sugar. Some of them do contain a lot of sugar. And the ones that you wouldn't expect, the likes of plain ones, like it's not all the ones that are like obvious, like the chocolate ones or the ones that have many marshmallows in them. Like it's not all those. It's the ones that you kind of look at and think they look pretty plain. They can be high in sugar, and it's just to be aware of that, especially because, like I said, we don't want to give our body a whole load of sugar in one go. It's not good for us. Little bits during the day is a lot better than all in one go. I know some dentists might disagree with me, but like for your body, it's better that way. There are cereals that are pretty good. So things like bran flakes, Weetabix, shredded wheat, those things, they're really high in fiber. So they'll give you a slow release of sugar or carbohydrate energy. And you won't get that big sugar rush and that sugar crash, which is something we want to avoid. And then all other ultra processed things like not cereals, like Pop-Tarts. I actually tried a Pop-Tart and it was so sweet. I don't know how you could eat that in the morning. I really don't. I don't have a sweet tooth, so that's probably a bit biased there. But things like that, try not to eat them first thing in the morning for breakfast. It's just not a great way to start off the day. It's not really giving your body a good start, if you know what I mean. You want to try and give it things that it's going to keep it going. And the Pop-Tarts and high sugar cereals and things like that just won't cut. Hello, so today we're going to make blueberry muffins. And I know what you're thinking, blueberry muffins, are they not like unhealthy for a breakfast? Well, the truth is, if you are somebody who doesn't really like breakfast in the morning, grabbing a blueberry muffin is really better than nothing, to be honest, especially if you know that you're not going to get something to eat for a very long time. And these are homemade, so there's no like preservatives or artificial preservatives in them. And all ingredients, you know what they are. Like, you know, you get blueberry muffins and there's like 10 billion ingredients and half of them, they're like chemicals. These aren't like that. So we're going to get started. So I've got the recipe linked in my description box, so you can just click on it and get all the measurements or whatever. But first of all, we're going to start with the blueberries. So this is 2 cups of blueberries. What you're going to do is you're going to take roughly half of them, like about that much. Then you're going to take your flour. For this recipe, you need 200 grams of plain flour. And you're just going to take 2 tablespoons of the flour, 225 grams, of plain flour. You're just going to take 2 tablespoons of the flour and just mix the blueberries up. Why am I doing this? I don't know. All the recipes I've looked at, the ones that turned out the best seem to do this. So I'm not sure. I think it's something to do with the blueberries not like sinking to the bottom of the, you know, you get a blueberry muffin, it's like blueberries and then muffin. We want them all through it. Now you're going to take your rest of your flour, and when I bake, I like to have everything measured out in advance. I don't like to be using the weighing scales as I go. I like to have it all there. It's just better, it's more organised. Yeah, you have a little bit more washing up to do, but not too much. So this is 1.5 teaspoons of salt, normal salt, no fancy salt. And this is baking powder, not bicarbonate of soda. I made that mistake before. There is a difference. This is baking powder. This is 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And now for nutmeg. If you don't like nutmeg, you can leave it out. All you need is a little sprinkle of nutmeg. And we're just going to mix that through and leave that to the side. This is called creaming, and this is when you cream the butter and the sugar together. Whatever recipe you're using for like queen cakes or fairy cakes, basically there is always the same amount of butter as to sugar. So if you're using 180 grams of sugar, caster sugar like I am, you're going to use 180 grams of butter. Some recipes might differ, but I think that's the best way to go. That's the way my nanny used to do it, so like obviously it's right that nanny used to do it. And she's the one who taught me how to bake. She used to bake all the time. She used to bake like everything, and her scones were like amazing. So you're just gonna put butter, 180 grams of butter, 180 grams of caster sugar into the bowl. You're gonna turn it on at a high heat, and you're just gonna keep that going for 3 to 4 minutes until it's nice and creamy. Now that the butter and the sugar are creamed together, you're going to add the egg. So I'm using 1 full egg and then just the yolk of an egg. And you're also going to need 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla essence. What you're going to do is you're going to put the machine on at a low speed, and you're going to slowly add the eggs, and then you're going to add the vanilla. So now you've got that done, you're going to start doing what's called folding. So you're going to fold in the flour and the blueberries. So get your bowl, get a wooden spoon or a mixing spoon. You need about 230 ml of buttermilk, or you could use normal milk if you want. And then the flour mixture that we have with the flour, the nutmeg and the baking powder. And what you're going to do is you're going to slowly add the flour and then add some buttermilk. So kind of set yourself up like this. And this is what your mixture should look like after it's been whisked and all. So I'm going to add some flour. Now this flour has been sieved already. So you don't want any lumps. And what you're going to do is you're going to go round and fold. Round and fold. Now I'm probably like not doing this like 100% right, but you don't mix it because that will remove the air. And you want your blueberry muffins to be nice and fluffy.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die!
Add the buttermilk. Now to be quite honest, I've never actually used buttermilk to make fairy cakes or queen cakes or muffins or whatever you want to call them before, so this could be interesting. And you're just going to keep adding until it's all in. Now that your flour and buttermilk is all mixed in, we're going to add the blueberries. So take the blueberries that we used that have the flour on them, and you're going to pour them in. Don't pour in the extra flour, just like grab the berries and like that, because you don't want to put in extra flour because then you'll have to put in extra milk or buttermilk. We don't want to have to do that. So I'm going to fold them in. Like that. And then take the blueberries that you didn't put flour on and also add them. And fold them in. So you should have a nice thick batter like so. Now for the next part. You should have, I should have mentioned this at the start, have heated your oven already to 200 degrees centigrade for a fan oven. You need to have a hot oven for baking, for any kind of baking, whether you're making buns, scones, cakes, anything, the oven needs to be hot. So that's my tip for the day. I have put bun cases in 12 cupcake thingies, and now we are going to fill them. So what you do is you just take a scoop of batter and you want to fill it about, not the whole way, about 3/4, so about that much. And that's, do the same for them all. And like, you can always go back if you have batter at the end and you think, oh, that one needs a bit more, you can always go back. So don't worry, just try to get them roughly the same. And I actually have quite a lot of batter left, so I could probably make a few more. If you do, then make a few more, because you don't want to like overfill them. But now you're going to put them in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. And the way you know they're ready is if you can stick a knife into them and the knife comes out clean. That's how you know they're ready. Overnight oats are the latest TikTok sensation. TikTok viral trend recipes, either really, really good or really, really bad. So far, I've only really tried one and it turned out pretty good. So I'm hoping that this turns out good. There's a lot of baked oats, overnight oats recipes out there. The baked oats are the warm ones, so I'm going to go with that one because I do prefer my porridge warm. There's loads of things you can put in it. I just chose this one because it was pretty easy. I don't really like bananas that much, but apparently this, you don't really taste the bananas in it, so also hoping that's right. For this, all I have is about 45 to 50 grams of rolled oats. So these aren't porridge oats, these are like proper, the full oat, and it's just rolled, why it's called rolled oats. Then you're going to have just half a teaspoon of baking powder, an egg, some honey or maple syrup, a tablespoon of that, 1 banana. You're going to need like a ramekin. Now I have a feeling that this isn't big enough, that it's not going to be deep enough, but I'm hoping it's not too bad. And then I just decided to throw some chocolate chips in. You don't have to. You can also add things like berries. You can add blueberries. You can add strawberries, raspberries. You could add things like almonds. There's loads of different recipes out there, so just try them. We're going to try this one today. First step is just to throw everything into a blender, or if you're like me and you don't have a blender that is working at the minute, I'm going to try this on the NutriBot. So just throw everything in. It's supposed to kind of be like a cake. So a cake for breakfast sounds good. Now that your mixture is like a mixture, you're going to put it into the ramekin. So I've kind of lightly greased this ramekin with a bit of butter. And, oh, this is tight. I just realised I forgot to put in my chocolate chips, so I'm just going to put them in now. I was a bit worried because the only real liquid in it was the eggs, but it looks okay. I'm only going to put in a few, and these are dark chocolate chips. And now you're just going to pour it into the ramekin. Oh, it's not too bad. I thought it would be too small and that the mixture would overflow, but it's not too bad. Now, the whole what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to rise up like a beautiful cake. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm just hoping that it tastes good. So now you're going to put this into your hot oven, which I put on at the start, at 175 degrees. You're going to put it in for about 20 minutes. This is a really easy breakfast. Yeah, it's kind of like a cooked breakfast, but it's still really easy, and it only takes about, I'd say altogether, less than 10 minutes. For this, you're going to need eggs, you're going to need cherry tomatoes, asparagus, and whatever kind of bread. Like, you could use whole grain bread. I'm using bagels because today we do not have any bread. And then some butter. I'm using real butter. If you can't eat dairy, you can use whatever alternative you use. Also, cream cheese is quite nice, and just a little bit of salt for seasoning, and you can use pepper for seasoning too. First thing you need to do is you need to get a pot on boiling water. Then you're going to trim your asparagus. So trimming asparagus, I think anyway, is you cut off the hard woody bit at the end. Now, as far as I know, you can eat that part. It's just kind of tough, so we're not going to eat that. And then you can just get rid of them. And now you are going to halve them like that. Now, this is all going to be done in one pot because I don't like washing up. Now, the pot I'm going to use, I'm just going to bring it over. I've got it on boiling, but I've got this little thing because we are making poached eggs. And I know you can make poached eggs, you just crack egg into the water. I think if you use a bit of vinegar in the water, it stops it from separating. I would advise you to get one of these because they're great. All you do is crack the egg into one of these little things here, and you put the lid on and you poach it, and then when the egg white is white, that's when it's ready. And I'm going to boil the asparagus. You need to boil it for about 4 minutes. I'm going to do that in the same pot. And I'm going to boil the tomatoes as well. So let's do that now. So as you can see, I have thrown the asparagus into the boiling water. I'm going to boil it for about 4 minutes. But I'm also going to boil the tomatoes for 2 minutes. So far the asparagus has been in boiling for 2 minutes. So now I'm going to add my little cherry tomatoes into the boiling water. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start poaching my egg. So to poach the egg, you just place that bit on like that. Now, hopefully this works for me because I'm not very good at cracking eggs. Yeah, so there you go, one down. I'm going to make 3 because that means if one doesn't work out, I've still got 2. But usually the average portion would be 2 eggs. I burnt my finger. So now you're just going to put, no, that's not sitting right, but you're just going to put on your lid. Oops. And once the egg white is white, that's when it's ready. Now it depends. If you like a runny poached egg, you're going to put it on for less time. You're going to put it on for about 2 to 3 minutes. If you like it hard, you don't like it runny, then you're going to put it on for maybe about 6 minutes. So it just depends. So we're going to leave them to poach now, and then while they're poaching, you can get ready whatever bread you're going to make. So I'm going to put my bagel on to toast. It'll only take about a minute, so I'll get that ready. Now it's time to assemble the masterpiece. So what I've done is I've taken these little things out of the pan. I've strained the water out of the tomatoes and asparagus. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to toss the tomatoes and asparagus in a little bit of olive oil and just a little bit of salt, not too much, and mix them a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some butter on my bagels, which are just hot out of the toaster. So you're just gonna roughly put it on like that. Like I said, you don't have to use butter, you could use cream cheese, whatever. Now this is the fun part. So these little things are like non-stick. So basically these should just plop out like that. There you go. And there you go. Sometimes you have to kind of go around the edge just like with a knife or something to loosen it, but it should. Oh yeah, there's always one that's going to be difficult, like. There you go. And now you're just going to put your little tomato asparagus at the side. And now that is a great breakfast, and that took me less than 10 minutes to eat. You've got your protein and your eggs, you've got your carbs and your bread, whatever type of bread you're going to use. You've got like at least one portion of veg in there with your asparagus and your tomatoes. So, bon appetit. I hope you enjoyed those recipes. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell and share this video, please. And you can check out all these recipes. They're on my website. The links are in the description box below. You'll also find all the nutrition information for those recipes.